All right, welcome guys. We have 8 NBA games to talk about. We got some pretty big news to go over for this slate, so I hope you guys had a good Friday. Pretty solid night for myself. And yeah, let's see if we can keep it rolling for this 8-game slate on Saturday. So let's go over what we know. Kristaps Porzingis got ruled out. Maxi Kleber was questionable, just got ruled out as well. Ricky Rubio, I don't know if he's confirmed out, but him and Beasley both doubtful. Minnesota a little bit thin. Let's see. Sabonis ruled out. We're still waiting on Brogdon news. Mike Conley got ruled out. Some of the stuff's for Sunday. Big one, Brad Beal got ruled out. Another big one, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Doesn't look like he's going to play. All those Pelicans guys are questionable for Sunday. And Rui scratched. Maxi Kleber out. So there's definitely some value with the Mavs, with the Wizards. That's where a majority of the value is. Some with the Timberwolves. So this is definitely setting up for a stars and scrubs slate without a doubt. Don't even go balance. It's not worth it. 100% stars and scrubs, and there's definitely some value here. Again, I want to see what Washington does with the starting lineup with no Rui, but Davis Bertans is available to play. He hasn't played in like 7 games. He's at almost min price. Possible value, right? So we'll talk about that. Here, let me go to NBA. I was on esports because I was doing some premium content for CSGO and Call of Duty. But let's talk about NBA here. So Wizards, Mavs, 226 over under. Mavs 6.5 point favorites. Cavs and Heat, 209.5 over under. The Heat are 12-point favorites. I basically crossing that game off. T-Wolves and 76ers are 225 over under. 76ers are 13-point favorites. That leads me to believe that Embiid is going to play. Knicks and Pistons, another one I'm basically crossing off. 202.5 over under. Knicks 1.5 point favorites. Pacers, Spurs, 220 over under. Spurs 6-point favorites. Magic and Jazz, a 216.5 over under. The Jazz are 15-point favorites. Josh Richardson ruled out too. Wow, okay. So more value for sure for Dallas. Bucks Kings 237 over under. The Bucks are 2.5 point favorites. Trailblazers and Thunder 229 over under. The Blazers are 11.5 point favorites. So I'm not kidding now. With all this news, I think you basically make this a 3-4 game slate, right? So you cross off New York, Detroit. Don't get cute. Cross off Cleveland, Miami. Basically cross off, not completely cross off Minnesota because there's some value here. That game I have a little bit of interest in. Pacers I have interest in if Brogdon's out. I'm basically crossing off Magic, Jazz, and then Milwaukee, Sacramento is a game you want a lot of exposure to. So it's definitely thinning down the player pool for myself. Wow, yeah. So now I'm really curious to see what Dallas does. Like Brunson looks a lot better now with no Josh Richardson. That's where again, I need to see the starting lineup news, but let's start off with Dallas, I guess. So, no Porzingis, no Josh Richardson, no Kleber. Their bigs are basically Boban Marjanovic and Dwight Powell. So, Washington do like running a traditional center with Len Lopez. So I'm thinking we're going to get Boban and Powell splitting the center minutes, right? They have no other centers. They could go against a little bit small ball of Nikola Melli, but I think Melli actually might move into the starting lineup with no Maxi Kleber. This one's going to be interesting, right? So the value bigs for Dallas I actually really like, especially Boban because he's just a phenomenal point per minute guy. So love me some Boban. I do like Powell too, and I like Nikola Melli now that there's no Maxi Kleber. I think he moves into the starting lineup. So those three, in my opinion, 3 of the best value plays of the slate. Now we have no Josh Richardson. Does Dorian Finney-Smith become a little bit more viable? Sure. I think he's fine. I would rather play Boban at min price. If Melli starts, I would rather play Melli at min price. But DFS, not out of play. Again, no Josh Richardson. So like Jalen Brunson now becomes a really good play in the mid-range. I think he might play over 30 minutes. He's a great point per minute guy. You can take a shot on Hardaway. I don't love the price, but hey, he's going to get a ton of shots up. Definitely viable. And then Luka at the top. Love Luka, right? Phenomenal matchup. No Porzingis. They're missing a lot of players. You're going to want to load up on the Dallas Mavs today. Absolutely love Luka at the top. Some valuable value guys, which you talked about, especially the bigs. I need to see the starting lineup, but this is a team you want exposure to, no doubt. No doubt, get Dallas exposure. Let's move on to Washington. Another team you're going to want some interest in. No Beal, no Rui Hachimura. Russell Westbrook at the top. Hard fade for me. Absolutely love him. Him, Luka, and the Milwaukee Bucks stars are where you're going to spend up your salary. If you play anyone else, I think you're just dumping money into the fire as far as stars go, right? That's just pretty simple. Any other star besides Westbrook, Luka, Drew, and Middleton, don't think it's worth it on the slate unless you're getting really contrarian. So that's where you want to look. Westbrook, absolutely love him. As far as the other value for Washington, so Denny is priced up a bit. He's going to play big minutes, definitely in play for value. What I'm curious is who starts for Rui. It might be, Davis Bertans. He hasn't played in a bit. I'm curious to see, will be on a minutes limit Saturday. Okay, what is the minutes limit for him, right? What is the minutes limit? Because he's at 3.3K. Need to keep an eye on that one. Garrison, so let's go over this Washington starting lineup again. Because they announced it before when Rui was in, where is it? Am I losing it, or did Washington have a starting lineup up? They did. Do we have it yet? Still not yet. All right, so Garrison Matthews is starting. He's at min price, viable, but he's super reliant on scoring. Like, again, I don't know what they're going to do without Rui. It's really interesting. Ish and Bertans are actually decent point per guys. They're both going to be on minutes limits. Like, Len and Lopez are going to split the 7 minutes. I think they're both viable. I'm not sure who else moves into the starting lineup then. Maybe it's Bertans, even though he's limited. Maybe they throw Jerome Robinson in. I don't know. We need to see the starting lineup. So let's circle back here once we get that. All right, so that's the most important game that we just talked about. Real quick, guys, if you'd hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We are at close to 300 viewers, 34 likes. Let's try to get to 100 likes before the end of the show. So I will circle back here once we get the starting lineup. Hopefully we get that soon. We got about 15 minutes, so I do have to go fast. New York, Detroit, I'll make this really simple. No interest in anyone. On the Detroit side, same thing, cross it off. Simple here with Cleveland and Miami. No interest besides Hartenstein as a value play. He's a guy that's a good point for the guy. He's been in foul trouble back-to-back slates. If you're willing to stomach it, if you're willing to get, if you know there's a good chance he gets in foul trouble and you're willing to accept that, then fine. Hartenstein's the guy for me. No one else I like. On the Miami side, absolutely no one. Absolutely no one. Worried about the blowout. Fully healthy team. These two basically cross off besides Hartenstein. Moving on to Minnesota. Keep an eye on Embiid. If Embiid's out, Cat is a contrarian spend-up I think you could go to. But you have to ask yourself, are you going to prioritize Karl Anthony Towns over Luka Doncic missing half the team against Washington, or over Russell Westbrook missing half the team as well, or over Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton in the best possible matchup with no Giannis Antetokounmpo? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So, yes, you can play Cat, but definitely a contrarian spend up. Now, Beasley, Rubio, D'Lo still out. Edwards, again, you can go to his contrarian play, but not a priority for me. He's going to get a ton of shot attempts up. Where I'm interested in is, actually Jordan McLaughlin. 3.5K, started, played 33 minutes. He's a guy that can get some assists, can score the ball. I think he's actually a pretty good value play on the slate. Do have interest there. Noel probably plays the backup point. Viable play, but not as good of a price point. And then McDaniels, on a normal slate, I would say, hey, he actually looks pretty decent. On this slate, not so much now with all this news coming up. So that's what I'm thinking for Minnesota. Moving on to Philly. If Embiid plays and is limited, I have no interest in anyone. If Embiid plays and there's no limits for him, I have interest in Embiid as a contrarian spend-up. If Embiid is out, then we can look to Tobias Harris as a contrarian spend-up. Then maybe Dwight Howard as a play in the mid-range. But other than that, it's pretty simple. Nothing more. Moving on to Indiana and San Antonio. So this one depends on Brogdon, right? If Brogdon is out, then this slate gets really tricky, because then LeVert, Miles Turner, and TJ McConnell look really good as guys in the mid-range. But then we have the Bucks guys in the mid-range. We have Luka. We have Westbrook. So it's I'm kind of hoping Brogdon plays just so we don't really have to look to a ton from the Pacers. If Brogdon gets ruled out, this is just going to be a headache of a slate, because then the Pacers look pretty good. LeVert, Turner, McConnell, 3 of the better plays in the mid-range. You got to make some tough calls on. Miles Turner gets a massive boost without Sabonis. We already know he's out. I do like him in the mid-range. McConnell, LeVert become really good plays so there's no Malcolm Brogdon. And then Doug McDermott, if he starts, is a viable value play. But we have all this value now with Washington and Dallas too. So it's right, on a normal slate, if Brogdon gets ruled out, you're probably playing 4 Pacers. On this slate, I don't know, right? Because how do you get away from Luka? How do you get away from Westbrook? How do you get away from those Bucks? So it's a tricky one, right? The Pacers I'm intrigued by if Brogdon's out, but on this slate, I don't know if I'm going to get a ton of exposure, even if he is out. Moving on to the Spurs, basically a cross-off for me. On this slate now, right, DeRozan, contrarian spend up, sure. Murray, Pirtle, White on a normal slate will look good in the mid-range. On this slate, I don't see how you get to him, right? I just don't see how you get to him. The Magic, I mean, come on now. Like, just don't put the Magic on any main slates. We have Birch, Otto Porter Jr., Michael Carter-Williams, Terrence Ross, all questionable. Right now, I'm staying away. If they're like all out, they might have like a 7-8-man rotation. So then some guys will be viable. It's a terrible matchup, but we could get some viable plays here for the Magic. So another one where it's like we got to just wait and see. And the Jazz, we got news Mike Conley is out. So on a normal slate, I would be really high on Clarkson, really high on Ingles, and really high on Mitchell. On this slate, though, not really. Not really. I'm not playing Donovan Mitchell over Westbrook or over Luka or over those Bucks guys or even the Pacers guys in the mid-range. I'm just not doing it. If all those Magic guys are out, really worried about the blowout. So I'm probably, even with Mike Conley out, I know it's weird, I'm just crossing off Utah. I'm not going to anyone. OKC, Portland. Another game I think you just cross off. Seriously. Thunder, everyone seems priced about right. I know Maladon had a big game. If you chase them in this spot, I think you're making a mistake. There's no one I have interest in. On the Portland side, basically no one as well. Worried about the blowout. There's no way I'm playing Lillard over Westbrook or Luka. Crossing that one off too. Final game, though. This is a game you're going to want some exposure to, in my opinion. No Giannis Antetokounmpo. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, two of the best plays in the slate. Both are going to play mid to high 30s minutes in a phenomenal matchup. This game should stay close now that Giannis is out. Love Middleton. Love Drew. DiVincenzo, Portis, viable in mid-range as well. If Bobby Portis starts, I have a lot more interest in him. If he comes off the bench, I'm thinking we get around 20 to 25. Either way, he's in play. If he starts, he looks a lot better. So Portis, if he starts, would probably be the third buck I would consider. But yeah, DiVincenzo, certainly in play. Not really looking at Brook Lopez. Pat Connaughton, I probably prefer other value on the slate. And finally, the Kings. Nothing more than contrarian plays here. Like, Fox is going to go super overlooked, but I just have a hard time playing him over those other stars I mentioned, right? Over Middleton, over Drew, over Luka, over Westbrook. I love De'Aaron Fox. I don't know if I can get to him on this slate. Same thing with Holmes. Like, Holmes on a normal slate, I said is a good tournament play because he's a good point per minute guy when he stays out of foul trouble. On this slate, though, it's hard to. Maybe like late slate plays or like Fox and Holmes. The rest of the Kings are kind of stayaways too. Like, I just don't think we get to anyone, even in an up-tempo game, unless you're full game stacking this one. Again, like, I just have a hard time getting away from those stars I mentioned. So that's what I got for the quick breakdown, guys. We got about 10 minutes until lock. Let's see. Do we have any starting line moves yet? Went through shoot around, so I think Embiid plays. Iguodala out. That means absolutely nothing to me. Yeah, I think this is just a slate where it's Washington, it's Dallas with Luka, with Westbrook. You get some value there. Maybe look to a buck or two. Maybe some Pacers if Brogdon's out. That's really the slate. And maybe maybe McLaughlin for value from Minnesota. That's the slate. Pretty simple. All right, we are at close to 350 viewers, guys. 54 likes. If you could hit that like button, it helps me out a lot. Yeah, Hartenstein and McDermott. I need to see news about Brogdon. If McDermott starts, I think he's actually a decent value play. He is reliant in the scoring. Hartenstein's a guy that I like, but he's just always in foul trouble. So it's a tough one right now. I need to see the Pacers starting lineup. So it's hard to say. Nope. Melo's not on this slate, right? Maybe on a normal slate. Maybe on a normal slate, yes. But just look at Melo's price, right? Where is he at? He's at 5K. I think you're really sacrificing way too much if you play a 5K Melo when it just sets up for the stars and scrub slate, right? So Bertans is starting. Okay, so what is his minutes limit is my question. Bertans will start. Okay, let's do a quick search here. Bertans minutes. Let's see if we got any sort of clarity here. They said on a minutes limit. Beat writer, I can't imagine them playing more than 20 minutes. Okay, so That it's a tricky one with Bert. If Bertans had no minutes limit, he would be a clear value, right? So it's a tricky one of their Bertans. I'm not sure how many minutes he plays. I'm not. I think a fair guess for him is probably 20 to 25 minutes. Probably 20 to 25 minutes for Bertans. Right? I don't really want to play like Chandler Hutchinson or like anyone like that. So it really just depends how many minutes Bertans plays. You say 25 to 28? We don't have clarity on what the minutes limit is. Now, there's no Rui Hachimura, so they're a little thin. I think McLaughlin's a little bit safer. Safer. Yeah, that's not confirmed, though, 20 or less. Right? That's a beat writer saying they'd be surprised if Bertans plays 20 or less. So there's no confirmation there unless I've missed something. No, I think it's a pretty clear slate, so it's up to you, right? It's stars and scrubs. We know the stars. It's a chalky slate again, right? Just like last slate, it's going to be chalk where I said, hey, don't play any other value besides Pelicans and Hawks. Don't even consider anyone else. And that worked out for a lot. We had some big winners yesterday. It's the same thing. Don't consider value besides Dallas, Washington, Minnesota, and possibly the Pacers. That's it. Nice hoodie, DK. I appreciate that. Thonsis viable. A little bit too pricey. A little bit too pricey for me. Prefer other value plays. Yeah, Bertans or Melly. Melly if he starts. Dallas is a team you want exposure to. 100%. Fave value. Boban if he starts. Can you play Boban and Powell together? Yeah. I think you can. Unless Dallas does something weird. Hey, they have like no bigs, right? No Porzingis, no Kleber, no Cauley-Stein. It's Boban, Powell, and Nikola Melli. So... And Washington, they like running Lopez and Len for 48. So I think we get a combination of Boban and Powell for 48 minutes. If that's the case, 100% you can play them both. 100%. Yeah, he's on a limit. We don't know what exactly it is with Bertans, right? We don't know what it is. If not Brogdon, Giannis, then Drew or LeVert. Yeah. Any interest in? Yeah, no. That I would. So I think there's better point per dollar plays, right? We have the Dallas centers, we have Melly, all basically min price. I would rather play if I'm playing someone in that like 4K range. I'd rather take a shot on Brunson. Probably rather take a shot on Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't think Thonsis is getting a little bit too cute. Maybe a late slate play, not in the main slate. Is Denny a better play than Bertans? He's safer. He's going to play mid-30s minutes. He's also, though, more expensive. He's 4-4. Bertans basically min-price. That means a lot, right? Is Melly a good point per minute guy? He's usually all right. And if he starts, I think we get at least mid-20s minutes. Yeah, it's Melly for me. Again, we need to see the starting lineup, though. Cash game center in the mid-range, Miles Turner. Denny a good play. Definitely viable. I think he plays mid-30s minutes. Hard time choosing between Russ, Luka, and Drew on FanDuel. Tough choice for sure. LeVert or Middleton. Right now it's Middleton. 4,500 for utility. Let's see. I'll go Denny right now. Denny just because I think Denny's going to play 35 minutes. He can rebound the ball. He can score the ball. That's about all he's going to do. But yeah, Denny for me. Neto, McLaughlin, 100% McLaughlin. I'm not playing Neto on this slate. Can you play Westbrook, Luka, Middleton, and Holiday? Yeah, you can. There's enough value to do it. Ingles or Brunson? Brunson. I'm worried about the blowout for Utah. I'm honestly just avoiding everyone in Utah. I have no confidence in the Magic. Can you play Bob? Yeah, 100% you can. LeVert or McConnell? If Brogdon is in, I'm not looking to McConnell. If Brogdon's in, I'm not looking to any Pacers besides Turner and McDermott, really. So it just depends. If Brogdon's out, I think I actually slightly prefer McConnell because he's cheaper. Powell, Middleton, McLaughlin, or McConnell, Portis, DFS, the first one. Are you higher on Holmes and no Giannis? I have a hard time getting to Holmes, right? Unless it's just complete dart throw in tournaments. But are you going to play Rashawn Holmes over Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton without Giannis against the Kings? They're at a very similar price point. My answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not. Westbrook or Luka, if you have to pick between the two. I honestly think you play both in the slate. I don't think you pick between them. So my answer is you play both and you find a way to play both. I've got Westbrook, Brunson, Doncic, Denny. Yeah, I like it. Neto or Matthews, I don't really want to play either value. I don't really want to play either. I think there's better value on the slate than those two. Killian Hayes, absolutely not. McDermott or Denny. Denny for right now. McDermott's viable. Yep. McDermott's viable. Who's the best person valued under 4K? The centers, the bigs for Dallas right now. Bigs for Dallas, they're all like min price. That's where I'm looking. McLaughlin too. McLaughlin's at 3.5. I think he looks good. Bertans. My worry with Bertans is what is the minutes limit exactly? If we get around 20 to 25, I think he can get it done. But it's like, I don't know if he's going to play a ton more. And then like, we might get value with the Magic, right? So if like all those guys are out for the Magic, we can circle back. The guy I would probably look to, honestly, would be Hampton because of the price, right? He's at 3.3, so you could bank on that and hope that just like everyone's out for the Magic because then RJ Hampton probably plays 30 minutes at close to min price. So if all those Magic guys end up being out, I think RJ Hampton actually is the guy I would look to first because of the price. I don't love playing Garrison Matthews. It's just because he's score independent. Of course, happy to help. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. I think you can 100% play all three Dallas bigs. Really, I do. Westbrook, Holiday. I'm not really looking to Justin Holiday. If that's who. Oh, Drew Holiday. Never mind. My bad. Westbrook, Drew Holiday, Middleton, Melly, Bope. Yeah, I like it. Best forward play 6,600 or under. I'm not really in love with this range, so it's like I think you should rearrange something. In my opinion, if you play anyone in this range, you're making a mistake and you're probably going to lose. So I think you rearrange. Towns and Portis or Westbrook and McDermott 100%. Boban in play? Oh yeah. I think him and Powell split the center minutes. They have no other bigs. It's those two and Melly who probably starts at the 4. Russ and Luka stack. I think it's pretty obvious on this one. Yeah. No love for Brunson. I think Brunson's probably one of the best plays at his price. Great point per minute guy. I think he gets over 30 minutes. I really like Brunson. Denny or Hardenstein. I think Denny's a little bit safer because Hardenstein foul trouble. If you want to take a shot on Hardenstein and hope he stays out of foul trouble, he's a good point per minute guy. And like he could crush. Hardenstein could crush. Again, I'm a little bit intrigued by him. I just can't stomach him getting in foul trouble again. It's happened to me back-to-back times where he should have gone for 40+ at lower ownership. Finney-Smith or Brunson? Brunson. 100% Brunson's a way better point per minute guy than Dorian Finney-Smith. Melly or Powell with Boban? Depends on the starting lineup. Powell or Matthews? Powell. I don't really like playing Garrison Matthews. Nope. Naz Reid. Nope. Don't do it. Face funders beside Luka, Westbrook, and Bucks. That's it. LeVert, if Brogdon is out, would be a guy I would consider. But right now, you should not consider anyone else in the slate. Cheap power forward, Melly. Need a min-price play other than Melly, Boban or Powell. No love for Dean Wade, not really at that price. I'd rather play Hardenstein. 4,500 McDermott or Dallas Washington forwards. And that's a tough one with like McDermott versus like Denny. I like the guys at the min-price. Hard to not to get to Turner. I do like Turner. My issue is if you play Turner, then it's like you can't get to like Westbrook, Luka, and both Bucks if you do that. So it's a tough one. Yep, I got all three right now. D Rose and GPPs, not in this slate. Powell or Boban. Boban, no thank you on Dean Wade, too pricey. Luka, Brunson, Middleton, Portis. I like that a lot. I love that lineup, Anthony. Yeah, that looks amazing. Finney-Smith's point per hour guy gets to yeah, again, play if you're gonna play someone in that range of the Dallas guys in the 4K range, play Jalen Brunson. Melly, good point per minute guy. He's min price. Like can be a little bit up and down, but if he starts, I like him. It's Hardenstein. If he gets off, Hardenstein's gonna go off. Yeah, he'll probably stay out of foul trouble and go for 50, and then I'm gonna tilt really hard. But Hardenstein is in play. Like he's another value guy I think you could look to. 2 out of 3 on FanDuel of Luka, Westbrook, and Drew. It's Luka, Westbrook, and then I just play Middleton then. It's Luka, Westbrook, and then I just play Middleton. Is there any play for 3K if you're playing Powell and Boban but don't want to play Melly? I don't think there's anyone else viable at the flat min. All right, that's the last question, so let me just check really quick, then I have to get out of here. Does Jeff Teague, he played a little bit more in the blowout. With no Giannis, maybe a little bit intrigued by Jeff Teague. I think he goes very overlooked. I'm not sure if he plays more. Again, he was like barely in the regular rotation. I think it would be Teague. I think I would take the risk on Jeff Teague. He might play more. He might play more tonight. Jeff Teague is intriguing because he's actually a solid point per minute guy. I don't think there's anyone else here. I don't. Let's see, scrolling through. Yeah, again, we have Melly. I mean, you can play Garrison Matthews. I very much dislike playing him, but he's at least in play too. He's just got to hit his shots, right? He's got to hit his shots. That's it. So it's like Garrison Matthews or Teague would be my answer to that. All right, guys, refresh one more time, then I'm going to call it. So, yeah, Bertans starting. Again, with Bertans, it's a little bit of a risk. He's on minutes limit. I would guess we get around 20 to 25. I think he can get it done in that time, but don't expect a huge game from him. But good luck to everyone, guys. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another live stream. So see you guys then.